The maid was sleeping in the snow. Then the billionaire made an unbelievable decision. The night was silent except for the sound of wind cutting through the streets like a blade. Snow fell heavily, covering everything in white, hiding what the world didn't want to see. Most people were warm inside their homes, unaware that just beyond the glow of streetlights, a human life was slowly fading into the cold, and no one noticed her at first. No one, except one man who was about to make a decision that would change two lives forever. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment if stories of kindness and humanity touch your heart. This is Kindness Story Hub, where we share stories that remind us how powerful one good decision can be. The mansion stood at the edge of the city like a fortress. Tall gates, security lights, and snow-covered gardens surrounded it. Inside, everything was warm, bright, and quiet. Daniel Whitmore, a billionaire known across the country, stood by the large window holding a cup of coffee. He had just returned from another long business trip and couldn't sleep. Daniel had money, influence, and success. But at 62 years old, he also had a heavy loneliness that money could not erase. His wife had passed away years earlier, and his only son lived overseas, busy with his own life. The mansion felt more like a hotel than a home. As Daniel stared out the window, something unusual caught his eye. Near the edge of the driveway, by the small security hut, there was a dark shape in the snow. At first, he thought it was a pile of trash blown by the wind. But something about it felt wrong. He leaned closer to the glass. The shape moved. Daniel's heart skipped. He grabbed his coat and stepped outside, ignoring the cold biting into his face. The snow crunched beneath his shoes as he walked toward the figure. That's when he saw her. A woman, curled up tightly against the freezing ground. Her clothes were thin, soaked from snow. Her arms wrapped around herself as if trying to disappear. Her face was pale, lips slightly blue. She was breathing, but barely. "Hey," Daniel said softly, kneeling beside her. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open for a moment. They were tired eyes. Eyes that had cried too much. Eyes that had learned not to expect help. "Please," she whispered. "I just needed a place to rest." Daniel felt a sharp pain in his chest. This wasn't a stranger who had broken into his property. This was someone who had run out of options. He recognized her then. Her name was Maria. She had worked as a maid at his mansion for nearly 3 years. Quiet, respectful, always on time. She cleaned rooms that no one used and halls that echoed with silence. Daniel had barely spoken to her beyond a polite greeting. 3 weeks ago, she had stopped showing up. The house manager had said she'd quit suddenly. But now, here she was. Sleeping in the snow. "Maria," Daniel said gently. "Why are you here? Why didn't you come inside?" Tears slipped down her frozen cheeks. "I didn't want trouble," she said weakly. "I lost my apartment. I couldn't pay rent. I didn't know where else to go." Daniel helped her sit up, wrapping his coat around her shoulders. Her body trembled violently. "Why didn't you ask for help?" he asked. She looked down, ashamed. "People like me don't ask people like you," she said. Those words hit him harder than the cold. Daniel carried Maria inside the mansion, ignoring the shocked looks of the security staff. He called a doctor immediately and ordered hot soup, blankets, and dry clothes. As Maria slept on the couch by the fireplace, Daniel sat nearby, watching the fire crackle. He couldn't stop thinking about how close she had been to dying. Right outside his gate, the doctor confirmed she had severe hypothermia but would survive. "Another hour in that cold," the doctor said, shaking his head, "and she wouldn't have made it." That night, Daniel didn't sleep. The next morning, Maria woke up confused, surrounded by warmth and light. When she realized where she was, panic filled her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, trying to stand. "I'll leave." "I didn't mean to stop," Daniel said firmly but kindly. "You're not going anywhere." She froze. "I want you to tell me the truth," he said. "What happened?" Maria hesitated, then finally spoke. Her husband had died 2 years earlier. Medical bills drained her savings. Her landlord raised the rent. She worked extra hours, skipped meals, tried everything. But one missed payment turned into eviction. She had been sleeping in shelters when she could, working day jobs when she found them. She stopped coming to the mansion because she didn't want anyone to see her like that. "I didn't want pity," she said softly. "Just dignity." Daniel felt his eyes burn. For the first time in years, he saw his wealth clearly, not as success, but as responsibility, that's when he made a decision no one expected. He didn't offer her a few $100s or a temporary hotel stay. Instead, he said, "I want you to stay." Maria looked at him, stunned. "Sir?" "I have guest rooms that haven't been used in years," Daniel said. "You'll have one. You'll have your job back, if you want it. And you'll have time to rebuild your life." Her hands shook. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this for me?" Daniel paused. Then he said something that surprised even himself. "Because I walk past people like you for too long," he said. "And because no one should freeze in the snow while I sleep in a mansion." Maria broke down, covering her face as she cried. Not loud, dramatic tears, but quiet ones. The kind that come when hope returns after being gone too long. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Maria regained her strength. Daniel arranged financial counseling, medical care, and helped her find a small apartment nearby when she was ready. He paid her fairly, respected her time, and spoke to her like a human being, not invisible help. But something changed in Daniel too. He started noticing people again. The staff. The drivers. The guards. He learned names. He listened to stories. He started a foundation to support displaced workers in the city, inspired by one woman he almost never noticed. One evening, months later, Maria stood at the mansion gate, ready to move into her new apartment. Snow had fallen again, but this time it felt different. Peaceful. Gentle. "Thank you," she said to Daniel. "You didn't just save my life. You reminded me that I matter." Daniel smiled softly. "You reminded me that kindness is the only wealth that lasts." As Maria walked away, Daniel looked at the snow-covered ground where he had first found her. A simple moment. A single choice. A life changed, and maybe, without realizing it, his own had been saved too, because kindness doesn't always arrive with applause or headlines. Sometimes, it arrives quietly on a cold night, in falling snow, when someone finally chooses to care. If this story touched your heart, carry it with you. Look around. Someone near you may be standing in the cold, waiting for a small act of kindness to change everything.